Once we have HHTV ready to roll, I can speak. Good morning. Welcome to the Fireside Chat Part 2. I apologize that we were unable to cover all of the content last Friday, so this is to wrap up what we were not able to accomplish last week with some of the previous announcements and certainly the additional announcements about the boosters. So we're going to get underway. Mike Ostrom is on some time away, so I am stepping in for him. And we have quite the lineup to finish what we were unable to do last week. So Brian Holtz is going to be coming up in a moment to update you on some safety and security. And then we will have Sean McMahon, our chief engineer, come up to talk to you about what are going to be some plans for air conditioning opportunities next year. I know it was a little bit of a rough summer with some of you not having that air condition capability. Eli is going to join us to talk about some campus improvements, and Brian Lovett will come up to talk more about K4, and Audrey and Elizabeth Hoover for some resident council updates, and then we will welcome some new residents with Valerie. And Brenda is off today, so her partner Conti will be up here to introduce quite a lineup of new employees. So we're really thrilled to be welcoming finally some new employees. So without further ado, Brian Holtz, come on up.
Thank you and good morning. You know, if you know me, I'm a sports fan, and usually during the Seahawks season, it's Blue Friday. But Valerie, what do we have on? We have our Mariner garb on because, just so you know, we are tied for the second wild card spot, and it's super exciting. Gosh, I've been here for how many years? It'll be 20 years since the playoffs, so it's been quite some time. That we might be able to get our foot in the door and have some playoffs potentially. Maybe go to the Yankees and take care of them on Tuesday. Wouldn't that be amazing? So I wanted to provide some updates. I mentioned it a couple fireside chats ago that we're making some changes with the card keys, a term you may have heard called box keys that are at the front desk. So that if you have a private caregiver, sometimes they would come up to the front desk and get a key to come and gain access to your apartment. And so those are going to go away. And we've contacted the residents that have private caregivers to get permission to be able to provide access to the specific caregivers, or you would let them in your apartment. So those card keys, the box keys, will go away. There may be a time where you have forgotten your key and you come down to the front desk and say, gosh, I need my what's called a box key to get back into your apartment. Those won't be available, but instead we have a system in place where we've bought some new card keys that are, you can see on the screen, that have red on them that say temporary, and we will program the keys and they'll only last for maybe 30, 40 minutes, and then they won't work anywhere. So you just bring it back and give it to the front desk, and then we can reuse them and recycle them and things like that. So that's a change that will be happening on Monday. And it took us a little while to get everything aligned, but that is something that'll be different for you, potentially, if that's something that you've used in the past. The next thing I wanted to touch base on is something we do annually to keep us all safe, is we participate in the Great Shakeout. And so that's an all-house for our staff earthquake exercise that we do. And we're doing that on October 21st. Yeah, make sure I remembered that. Around 10 a.m. is when we'll get that rolling. And so you may hear something over the overcom, over the speakers. And that is where our staff will be responding. Our incident command center will be set up in one of these rooms here where those of us in incident command are going through the exercise and learning and maybe making errors to be better for next time. And our staff will be responding to the Parkview Lounge, and they'll be putting on high visibility vests and have backpacks and going and searching throughout the entire campus. Heaven forbid if we had an incident that would warrant us having to set up incident command and setting up our primary location. So for residents, what you can do is think about, are you prepared for an earthquake? Do you have food and water supplies, and you have your grab and go bag and some of those kind of things? Actually, in the directory on the final page, there are reminders of what you should do during an earthquake. So even though you may not be participating with we as staff, there's certainly something that you can do to think ahead, what if? And so on page 49 of the directory, it has that information for you to remind you what you should do during an earthquake. So it's important for us to be able to do these drills. Our life counts on it. I mean, it's super important for us. So with that, I'm going to introduce what has been a hot topic, introduced by Sean, who's cool as a cucumber, to talk to you guys, boom, to talk about air conditioning in the community.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
So yeah, after experiencing record-breaking temperatures this last summer, I thought it'd be a good idea to share the plan for next year to make sure everyone stays comfortable. This, of course, applies to the Central and East Tower apartments and the West Wing apartments that do not currently have air conditioning. It incorporates the use of portable air conditioners like what you see in the picture. This new unit is pretty unique as it basically is very quiet, is the best way to put it. Sorry about that. So the new portable AC unit is almost double the capacity in terms of cooling than what is currently being used. It achieves this with new technology that they're using these days in this particular unit. And like I was saying, it's very, very quiet, about as loud as a quiet fan. In terms of decibels, it's about 42, very, very quiet. And if you compare that to a window AC unit, those can range between 50 and 80 decibels. And so it's very, very quiet. We did trial this unit this year in several apartments, and I have been in touch with those residents to gather as much feedback as I can to make sure I'm choosing a unit that everyone would appreciate. These units would basically be stored in the resident locker or closet in the apartment. And the facilities department would be providing the installation, hookup, and removal every season at no charge. That would be one installation and removal per season, not more than that. It would come at a cost for anything more than that, but we'll be happy to do one installation before the heat arrives and one removal after the winter arrives. Yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to share. It is a very good change. I should also share that the problem with the existing units is they're limited in capacity. The window units is what we're currently using, and they're just limited in the size because of the window design. And these new portable units remove that limitation, and that's a really important change because you're going from an 8,000 BTU unit to a 14,000 BTU. So it's almost, that's why I say it's almost double the capacity. And so anyway, I know that there might be some questions after this presentation, so I'll be available outside just to keep this presentation on track. So if there's any questions, please feel free to meet me outside. All right, thank you so much.
We had a small change in people, so I'm going to jump in where Eli was going to be to talk about K4. So we've been working for several months with a company called K4, which builds technology used in senior living communities. We've been using them for HHTV, for some of the signage that we've seen around the excuse me, around the community, as well as the voice, the Alexa voice components we've been doing. So now we're working with another part of their program, which is an app. So the app is available and will be available on both your computer and your mobile phone or tablet if you have one. So there are different versions of the app. And we have some pilot users that are going through right now so we can learn what we need to do to roll it out successfully and make it work successfully. We have one group going. We're about to launch a second group to go over what we've learned with the first group so we can give better instructions and help people really get good use out of the app. I wanted to go through a couple slides just to show you what the app looks like and how it will work. So it starts with a home screen and has a news feed, very similar to other apps like Twitter or Facebook, where the latest information shows in a list of items that you can look at. There's a what's new section, which is the latest stuff that's there. And then there's another section called the library, which contains all the content we've published. So you can look at something you've missed or want to see again. In there, we have community notices, which are things like service outages or maybe an event that's happening that we want to highlight, anything that goes in those community notice sections. If you can go back one, that'd be great. There will be areas for photos, for resources, for links to websites and things you can use to maybe book an appointment with Peel Tech or the salon or things that we're looking to make easier to do through the app. And then also a link to all the videos. So videos like this one, you'd be able to find a link here and watch it anytime you want. You don't necessarily have to wait for it to be rebroadcast on HHTV. Next, please. There's an event section in there that has the calendar of events. So everything that is scheduled in the community it shows up on the app here. One of the nice features of that, there's a little button called Attend. So you can hit the Attend button for things that you want to get a reminder about. And when it's time for the event, you'll get a notice on there. You're also able to add it to your calendar if you use the calendar on your iPhone or your computer. Oh, I hear my echo here. It's like stepping back in time. Next, please. There's a dining section in here, and this is has some interesting features to it. This is the first time we've been able to connect two different pieces of software we're using. So we've recently put in a new point of sale system that serves the dining services and the salon and places where you spend money in the community. And in the app, you'll be able to see the balance that you have on your resident charge account, which is for the stuff you purchase at the concierge, groceries, salon, as well as the balance on your choice dining meal plan. So that'll show up there, as well as the specials for the day and menu items. And you also have the ability to make a reservation in the terrace dining room with the Open Table app that is in here. Next. There's a more section where we have the resident directory, the staff directory, and the ability to share K4 with community, outside the community. So if you'd like to share K4 with friends and family, you can do that. And they can see what's going on in the community and use one of the best features of the app, which are voice and video chats. So it makes it very easy instead of having to arrange a Zoom meeting. If you've shared the app with friends and family, you can do a voice or video chat with those folks with the app. Next. And here's an example of what's in the directory. You'll see it has basic information and then a spot where you can fill in some profile information. It's a little different than how the profile is on HH Connect. It doesn't have quite the same information, but it really is the basic information you can use to call people, message them, or find out a little bit more about them. And next. And like I said, it's available on your iPhone, iPad, on an Android device if you have one of those, or it's available on your computer. So easy to get to and very usable. And are we going back to Eli? Now we're going to go back to Eli. And if you have any questions about K4, there is a whole group of us that have been working on it. So feel free to ask me, members of my team. Lacey at the front desk and Emily have also been very involved, and Risa has been doing a lot with the events on there as well. So it's a good team of people and good people to ask. And I'll introduce Eli.
Hello. Hi. All right. So just to go over some campus improvements that we currently have underway. There's 3 projects that I'd like to discuss. The Sky Lounge reclad, the Anderson Hall refresh, and our corridor refresh of the Central and East Towers. So beginning with the Sky Lounge. All right, this is a project that's been underway for quite a while. This is a response to when we re-roofed the Central Tower. We discovered that the exterior walls around the Sky Lounge and the elevator penthouse of the East Tower, that the weatherproofing assembly was deficient. And so we need to completely replace these assemblies. We've encountered many delays, including permitting, the crane, and the current delay is the engineering of the scaffold. Okay, I can't make this stuff up. So the current problem is that the concrete strength does not match the design, the as-built records. Okay, so they go up there, they put in some anchors, perform a third-party review, a pole test, and they're like, oh my gosh, this concrete isn't, as strong as we thought it was. So they're completely re-engineering the scaffold system. And you're probably wondering, well, what's the big deal? Well, we're 19 stories up and we want to make it safe. And the scaffold it'll be quite a scene. Once it's all in place, you'll realize, wow, that is quite impressive. We can understand why we'd want to put so much effort into its engineering. Okay, so that's underway. However, the Sky Lounge, we want the Sky Lounge finished before we begin Anderson Hall. So as it currently stands, Sky Lounge will probably be offline until through January. So going on to the next project, Anderson Hall. Well, when do we begin that? Well, we're going to wait until the Sky Lounge is back online, and given back to the residents before we take offline yet another event space. I am proud to say that Anderson Hall, there's lots of resident engagement, between the residents and Methuen. So I'm very confident that when we redo this space, it'll be top notch. Let's see, and then also the last project is the Central and East Tower Corridor project. Lots of variables, lots of things we're still finishing up in the design. The laundry room on the 5th floor has been finished kind of as a prototype, get resident inputs. So if you live in the Central and East Tower and you want to visit the 5th floor laundry room and the trash room, please do. And there's a comment box there. And so far we've received lots of very useful comments that we will apply to the remaining 14, 15 floors. So we've got that going on, but we do hope that the corridor work itself will begin before the end of the year. And another part of that scope of the corridor refreshes will eventually, it'll probably be next summer when the weather's warm, we'll go into each central tower apartment to replace the radiant heat control valves. If central tower residents may recall, this last year, we went into every single apartment to assess the functionality of their control valves for the radiant heat system. As it turns out, many of them are not working well. And so, and this is actually good news, because the scope of this project before would be very, very disruptive in hopes to improve the heating situation of the central tower. Well, as it turns out, we've narrowed it down to just the control valves and the thermostats. And by simply going in to replace those control valves and thermostats, we think that that will have the greatest effect and at a reasonable cost and at reasonable disruption to the residents. So that's good news. And there's no bad news. And that's all I've got. I believe next is Audrey Whitecamp and Elizabeth Hoover. Oh, should I ask for questions? Does anybody have questions? No? Okay. Audrey Whitecamp and Elizabeth Hoover.
I will be explaining a little bit about how the election, resident council election will be. The meeting on the 19th is going to be Zoomed. And as usual, we have 5 retiring members. Peter Shapiro, President, George Counts, VP for Programs, me, VP for Administration, Marianne Anderson, a coordinator for the Games Committees, and Susan Corning, another coordinator for Entertainment and B2 Activity Rooms. Next slide, please. These are the slate of nominees that have been proposed by the nominating committee. But so it's Wilton, Fran, Deanna, Nancy, and Sally. But in addition, you may nominate someone from the floor, and they will be included on the ballot. In order to make this possible, and for them to be able to give a little 2-minute talk like the other nominees at the meeting, I am asking that you contact me by October 12th so that I can make the arrangements for that, so they have an equal billing on the. So what will happen is right after the meeting on the 19th, you will find a ballot in your cubby. If you're a couple, you'll find 2. If you don't find them, give me a call. And there will be ballot boxes set up in 3 different places. You'll get details later. We're talking a couple weeks from now. The voting will end on the 21st, so that'll give you about 2 days to do it. And that's the news for the election. Elizabeth Hoover is next.
Hi, everybody. Each year, you know that we residents honor our employees with a monetary gift at our holiday party. And these tangible gifts give us a chance to say thank you collectively for their faithful service during the year. This we do through our Employee Recognition Fund, the ERF as we call it, under the auspices of the Residents Council. So this year, in which there is much competition for qualified workers throughout the city, and because we wish to retain our dedicated employees, we're especially seeking your participation in recognition of our employees for their dedication and continuity of service. Many of them are not as visible as others as they complete their tasks behind the scenes, and some not even seen by us at all. So the ERF drive assures that all qualified employees receive a gift check. And this event has become an anticipated and heartfelt time for them in a tangible and personal significance. And we hope it will boost their morale. The Employee Recognition Fund Drive begins today, October 1, and we will extend this for a brief 6 periods until November 15. Every cent donated goes to the employees in an amount based upon the dollar that we raise during the drive. All other expenses are covered by our general fund of the council. So further details are in your cubby now. And you will also find a designated mail slot, and consider your donation now, especially if you intend to use your IRA, because those transactions take extra time. So every one of your resident council members has already donated to begin this drive. And we hope that every one of you will join us in this important endeavor to reach 100% participation. We're all in this together to make it one of the brightest spots in this year for all of us and our employees here at Horizon House. So now Valerie will introduce our new residents.
I didn't give up Blue Friday completely, but it's too exciting. Most of our residents who we planned to introduce last week were able to join us again this week, but a couple weren't, but we'll go ahead and introduce them anyway since we have so many people moving in. As I introduce you, if you wouldn't mind just standing up, although your photos will be displayed, and just wave so they can see you live, that would be great. My pleasure to introduce first John Ham, Mary Ann, his wife. John was born in Portland, Oregon. He earned his BS in psychology and pre-med from Pacific University and worked as a medical doctor and psychiatrist, and was also a commander in the United States Navy Reserve Medical Corps. He is a member of the Washington State Medical Society, American Psychiatric Association, and the King County Medical Society. His interests include Buddhist psychology, insight meditation, yoga, neuroscience, music, Hawaiian culture, theater, movies, and reading. Welcome to Horizon House. And his partner, Mary Ann Siebert. Mary Ann was born and raised in Portland, Oregon as well. She earned a BFA in acting from Carnegie Mellon University and has 40 years of stage acting, was a yoga instructor, ESL instructor, voiceover talent, and fiber artist, and for 4 years gave tours of the Hill, which encompassed Congress, the Library of Congress, and Supreme Court for AID grad students. She is a member of AAUS in both Kona, Hawaii, and Seattle. Her interests include linguistics, dance, and architecture. She's lived and worked in the Puget Sound area since 1976 and spent her last 30 years on Capitol Hill. Welcome to Horizon House, John and Mary Ann. Pat Lewis. Pat was born in Omaha, Nebraska. She earned a BA in education from the College of Notre Dame, an MRE from Seattle University, and her MA and BS from Whitworth College. Pat was a teacher, trainer, and consultant. She enjoys reading, traveling, playing room cube, walking, and music. Pat considers herself a community person and is really looking forward to meeting all of you and living in the community. And I'm very proud to say that through her work in exploring retirement homes and communities, She said she never considered another place aside from Horizon House. Caroline Norman, welcome back. Caroline was born in Seattle and moved to Maryland, where she received her BA from Goucher College. She then earned her LLB from the University of Florida and worked as an attorney. She enjoys reading, traveling, gardening, the arts, and photography. Welcome, Caroline. Ada Waldron. And Ada, or Lulu, as she prefers to be called, was born in Junction City, Kansas. Lulu is an artist, author, and triathlete. Her interests include reading, downhill skiing, and windsurfing. She has sailed across the Atlantic on a sailboat, run the Boston Marathon, which you can't just sign up for, you have to qualify for, and hiked El Camino. Welcome, Lulu. I'm sure our gym staff is looking forward to meeting you. And Marion could not join us today, but Marion Boyer. Marion was born in Portland, Oregon. She earned a BA in English Literature from WSU and her MA in Political Science and History from the University of Connecticut. Through the years, Marion has worked as a teacher, small business owner, and political consultant. She taught high school history at Mercer Island High School, Lakeside School, Bainbridge Island High School, and Taipei American School. In 1972, Marion and a group of others opened the bakery in Pioneer Square, which eventually evolved into Grand Central Baking. She sold her shares in the bakery in 1983 and began to work in Democratic politics in DC with Jill Buckley and Associates. Marion's interests include history, drama, and film, literature, bridge, and travel. Welcome in your absence, Marion. Next up to introduce new residents and transfers is our HR specialist, Conti. Go Hawks.
And Mariners. Oh, and Mariners, yeah, of course. And Sounders.
Good morning, residents. It's so nice to see you all here in person. My name is Kanti. I am here to go over through new hires, transfers, and promotions on behalf of Brenda Thompson, since she is out today. Marisa Kalp has joined us as a diet aide in food services. Miguel Lopez Ramirez joined us as a wait person in food services. Jay Shea joined us as a front desk associate. A lot of you all might have already seen them at the front desk. Ramon Aponte joined us as a security officer. Ryan Schuler joined us as a wellness director. He is in here with us right now. We all can welcome him. Can you please stand up, Ryan? Hina Kuate joined us as environmental service tech. Lindsay Parkhurst joined us as a stylist. James Pennington joined us as a janitor. He was working with us before. He took a break for a couple of months and now he's back with us. We are excited to have everyone, like all the new hires. Next up is transfers. Patrick Mark Castro has taken up a new position of utility engineer. Mark Munden has taken up a new position of facilities coordinator. Both of them have been with Horizon House for a couple of years, for a few years now. Please note that Mark Munden do not take work orders anymore. In his new position, he coordinates the workflow for facilities department. So you can create work orders for Patrick Mark Castro instead. And we are really excited to see them grow into their new positions. Last up is promotions. You will see myself up there. I got promoted as HR generalist. Thank you. Lauren Charbonneau was promoted as a construction liaison. And we have Alan Garcia, who was promoted as a senior engineer. If you see the new hires, please greet them, welcome to Horizon House. And if you see any employees who have taken up new positions, please congratulate them. Thank you so much. I'll now turn it over to Laurie. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Kanti. She's a delight. She's been working very hard to bring us a number of new employees. Kanti, I think, was just telling me that she onboarded 9 new employees recently. So this is great, great traction. We've also just recently hired, they'll be featured next month, 7 elder care assistants up in assisted living. So we are really delighted with some of the new hires coming. I will have an announcement about some dining service changes, however, because we have lost a couple more servers. So yes, but before that announcement, just a few quick announcements as we come to a close today on this first day of October. Booster clinics, boy, what a great turnout last Saturday and Tuesday. Yes. Wonderful, wonderful Virginia Mason gift to again give us that early access to boosters. So we had a total between 2 days, on those 2 days, 340 residents and 48 staff members come through. Fantastic. And I know, yes, we will be putting some thank you poster boards out again soon, probably next week, and would encourage all of you to sign. We'll probably have them down on the B1 area somewhere. So take a moment to be sure to sign those thank you boards. I know that the Virginia Mason staff just loved those expressions of gratitude when we did that last January during the vaccine clinics. So if you see Virginia Mason staff wandering around out there in the coming days as they open up for more boosters to the public, be sure to take a jaunt across the street and thank them. I know that means so much. I had a number of you share how much they expressed gratitude in being able to support us with the boosters. I'm waiting to hear from Virginia Mason if they will give us any other opportunities before they do open to the public. They had mentioned today as a possibility. I have not heard anything, nor have I seen any activity over there. So I'm suspecting today is a no-go, but I know that I will be contacted if anything becomes available. Many retail pharmacies are offering the boosters as well. Some of you have let me know that you've elected to obtain both your flu and COVID booster vaccines at the same time. One mentioned Safeway on Madison is where she got both of hers together. So that is certainly more options. Please do let the clinic know if you do receive flu or boosters outside of Horizon House so we can track that data, because we will at some point be following up with those we haven't heard from just to ensure you have support to get those flu shots and boosters as well for that extra protection. In terms of flu shots, we have one more flu shot event here by Bartell/Rite Aid, and that is happening on October 14. Amy in the clinic has let me know that we do not have currently any spots available. They've all been taken for October 14. She is waiting to hear from Bartell's and Rite Aid if they will be able to bring an extra vaccinator, which would open up for more spots, or if they might be able to give us an extra day. So we will keep you posted if either option becomes available to us. We'd love to be able to get more of you through who'd like to have that flu vaccine right here on site. I know that a number of you are getting in appointments as we close out the year with deductibles being met in many cases. So don't hesitate as well to ask your doctor's offices if you have upcoming appointments, can I get my flu vaccine and or booster in my appointment? So that's another good option if you're already going to be visiting physician offices. So take advantage of that. I had a couple of residents ask me to please remind all of us in today's chat about proper mask use. One resident pointed out, seeing, and I do see this occasionally as well, I think we all do, that there is especially a presence of mask being down for a significant amount of time in the fireside lounge. The governor's proclamation is very clear, as we have been, that masks need to be on at all times unless actively eating or drinking. I know it's a pain to have to keep moving the mask up and down as you're taking sips of coffee, but we're seeing long gaps in time between the sips and the mask still remaining down. And so it is a comfort thing, and it is a requirement. So do kindly ask that everyone does their best to keep the mask on when not actually actively eating or drinking. And just to remind us all that everyone is empowered. We don't necessarily need to call just a clinic or just reception. We all are encouraged to remind each other, hey, mask, or even just gesture. I often would just do the gesture, and frequently I'm like, oh gosh, we get lost in conversation, and sometimes we don't remember to pull that mask out, just as we're doing here today as we leave the podium. So it's just a helpful reminder for all of us, okay, for everyone's protection. The good news is the Delta cases are dropping. I don't know if you heard that in the news, but there is starting to see a leveling. So the thinking is that we've hit the peak of the Delta variant, and we'll see what the next few weeks bring. And hopefully we're going to be getting into a little bit smoother water, especially as more and more activities come indoors, where it is not quite as safe as the outdoor environment. So keep doing all those key behaviors, continue being mindful as you visit with family and friends outside of the community, what their activities have been. Have they been around children, for example, who are not yet vaccinated? So those are questions that I think we all should be asking as we plan our activities outside of Horizon House for our utmost safety, especially being in a congregate living environment like a senior living community. That's where we are even higher risk of transmission, because if everyone coming together and spending time together is easier to do in an environment like this. So just continue to be mindful. And the last announcement I have is on dining. While we've made some good traction in getting new employees in a variety of departments, we have lost another couple of servers. Again, some of our servers have gone back to college, which is a wonderful thing. And so they've left before we can replace all of those. So Jeff and Barry did ask me to provide you with some announcements on some changes we're going to need to make temporarily until we are able to hire more servers. They indicated that we are now moving to a buffet on a nightly basis until further notice. And that started last night and will continue. The buffets will have 3 main entrees, with one of them being vegetarian option, 2 accompaniments, salad and dessert, priced at $20 unless otherwise stated. No reservations are needed. Bistro special will still be available in the bistro. The everyday menu will not be available at this time temporarily. Pickup orders, you may go through the buffet line, and the deliveries are still available. We still have staffing to provide the deliveries with, of course, the delivery fee. So those are the conditions, unfortunately, we're required to take at this time as we navigate this shortage. And please do not hesitate to let Barry, Chef Steve, or Barry know if you have any questions. And I know that they are staying close in terms of whatever is going to happen with this strike, as well as with Cisco that was mentioned last week. And as we know, Chef Steve has graciously, if you see him, please give him a high five and a thank you, because he has been taking his vehicle to go and get supplies because we've had some delivery shortages in terms of drivers, even the drivers. The other concern that I think we need to be paying close attention to, I've encouraged all of our management team to be thinking of backup plans. As October 18th arrives, for those of you who may remember, that is the governor's proclamation deadline for vaccines for a host of different work groups across the state. And so depending on what impacts that has, not just in healthcare, but in some other sectors, then that may also have some impact on what comes into Horizon House. I received a notice, for example, from my daughter's school principal and the superintendent of the school district indicating that they are anticipating shortage of bus drivers again, school bus drivers, for those who choose not to become vaccinated by the deadline of October 18th. So that's another example of an impact that parents are now needing to think about some backup plans for, and same here. So we'll continue to keep the community apprised if we anticipate any shortages of supplies getting in or out of products, and keep you all informed and make adjustments as we need to. I think we have some bright spot slides coming up in just a moment. Just a reminder, yes, if you do have any fireside chat topics, please let Laura Tops know or Mike. And can we get, there we go. So Labor Day, boy, what a showing on Labor Day, the weather. Here in the Pacific Northwest, it seems Labor Day is either wonderful weather or real rainy, and we lucked out this year. So as you can see, we had a great crowd on the patio with the beautiful sunshine and flowers. And next slide, please. And then we had a great retirement community week celebration. Obviously had to be modified from past traditions, but we still were able to get some festive fun in there with different themed dress-up days. And of course, we had our booster, Patty Flowers, there on the far right. She was our #1 for the booster on Saturday, so that was exciting. And Georgia and Sarah and some others who had just come back from their boosters were all smiles under their mask. Staff helping out. And of course, our next fireside chat will be just before Halloween on Friday, October 29th. Unless something changes, we expect to be able to all be back together here in this room to be back in person. I think because we did an amazing job today of making sure we didn't go over time, we do have time for some questions. So if there are any questions, Risa is ready with a microphone. I did want to, I think Sean has maybe had to step out. Brian might know the answer, but I think it might be helpful, Brian, if you can share what and how residents can request the air conditioning unit Sean had been talking about in his presentation. Unless I missed it, I don't think that came through. So Brian, do you want to come up so residents can see and hear better?
So I don't know the answer. However, we will have a system in place, absolutely, if you are qualifying for what Sean described of the West Wing, East and Central Tower for those air conditioning units, that we'll be sure prior to the warmer season to have a method for you to be able to request those and make sure that we do that early enough, because as you can imagine, being able to buy enough of those sometimes is difficult. And so the ones that he sampled, he could only get like 5 at a time. So I apologize, I don't know an answer, but when I don't know, I say I don't know. But we'll have something in place for you. Lori, thanks for making sure that we covered that. Any other questions? Anne Marie, Lori, I'll just keep rolling with that if you want. Anne Marie has a question.
Do I assume correctly that these units will require a window?
The question was to assume that these units require a window. Yeah, they need to be able to exhaust out the hot air that it's exchanging. So yes, it will need an opportunity for a window for that to be able to happen. Yeah. Any other questions?
On any topic?
Any topic. Mariners are playing the Angels. Seahawks are playing the Niners. I don't know who the Sounders are hosting on Sunday night. We have a question.
I have a suggestion about ordering from you all the air conditioner. Just put a notice in the alert. And maybe you want people to order them as soon as possible. I don't know.
Sure. So comment was a great suggestion that do it in one of our communication vehicles like the alert to let you know, maybe well in advance, so we have a handle on what we're going to be up against when that time comes, when the season starts warming up. Lori, closing. Oh, another question.
We have another question.
This one's about the new app and for the communication, the K4.
I'm going to bring Brian Levitt up.
Hi, Brian.
Hi.
Is there any possibility of having a community
section on there, kind of like a Facebook sort of thing, where we can communicate not only individually as in the message, but to the whole group?
So that's not currently built into the app, but we have a good relationship with the company developing it, and we can certainly put in that request to get that functionality added. They're adding a lot to it. It's developing very, very rapidly. So I would not be surprised if that comes up. But right now that's not built into there, but I would not be surprised if it's something that they would not add.
The reason I ask is that I've had a number of, why are we surprised, gardening questions, and people wonder if others have had the same problem. And that would be a great venue for that. And I'm sure there are many other instances, you know, is anybody going to the opera, or, you know, down to Pike Place Market, or, you know, I want to do this or that or the other thing. It would be nice to be able to put that out to the group.
Right, and I'll just repeat, since I did not repeat the comment, the suggestion was to add to the app a place for community discussion. That's not currently built into the app, but we will bring that to the developer and let them know that that's a feature that people would like to see.
1 second, Ann, there's a question over here.
I just have one question about the air conditioners. When we send in, whether we approve of getting it, we have 2 of these units in the apartment right now. So would we have ordered 2 of the new units? Oh, you're in the wrong department. I mean, sorry.
We'll bring someone up who knows.
Yeah.
Our plan is for 1 unit per apartment. And so if you have 2, you may be able to retain the 1 you have, but our plan was to provide 1 for the apartment. And if there's an opportunity to possibly purchase a second one, then that would be the avenue we would go.
Name just a second, Ann is next after that.
Okay. This is for Brian. Good morning.
Me, Brian, or he?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is it possible for there to be a user group for K4 so that everybody who is a little bit new to the process can get together as a group and share their successes and their questions, so that you don't have to do each one individually, or you don't have to, in other words, can we have a user group that's run by somebody who knows how to use the system?
So the question is about having a user group for the K4 app as we roll it out. And that is definitely something that the project team has been talking about. And one of the reasons we're doing the approach where we're piloting with a small group of people is so we can learn, you know, what the experience is like for other folks using the app. So we know what materials to develop, and then we can figure out, well, what is the best way to make it this useful for people? Is it that we bring people together into, you know, training and discussion sessions? Do we make sure we have the right printed material for people to look at so they are very comfortable using the app? You know, anytime you're using new technology and something, there's always a lot of room for learning and discussion. So we want to make sure we're doing our best to support that and really make this a very comfortable thing for people to take advantage of.
I don't know who I'm addressing this question to, but can somebody explain when and if there will be an improvement in the dining service? Last evening was a new low.
Mona shared a question about improving the dining services, that last night was a new low. I'm sorry to hear that, Mona. My strong recommendation is that you connect directly with one of the food services managers, Barry, Jeff, or Chef Steve, but specifically why it was a new low and what about the experience was not to your satisfaction. The sooner you can bring feedback forward to the leadership team in dining services, the more they can work to address more on the spot versus after. So do please connect with one of them to share more about what that experience was.
I did. And I did speak with them, and it was unsatisfactory in the way in which I wanted to be aware to the whole Horizon House staff, that just not the dining service people. That's why I brought it up here.
Is there something specific you want to share?
Well, if we're not attracting new servers, perhaps we can raise the rate in which we're paying them.
And we have raised the rates, and we also have added hiring bonuses and sign-on bonuses. The challenge is, while we've done that, there's lots of other restaurants in the city competing for the same workers. That's our challenge. Our rates are very competitive, and we also offer benefits, which many of the other dining establishments do not. So we feel that we've got it. There simply is a lot of demand out there, not enough supply yet, hungry to get back to work in some cases. But we hear you, and that is frustrating for us as well. So we've increased rates of pay and added the sign-on bonuses as another carrot to try to bring some people in. Any other questions? All right, thank you all so much. Have a great day. Go Mariners and Seahawks and Huskies, and yes, Washington State too. Take good care, everyone. Bye-bye.